Yo, what's going on? It's your boy J-Vo. Here's another episode of I Beat It Wrestling. Listen, we're going to get right into it, so let's get right back to it. So, we're doing Monday Night Raw, September 10th, down in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Arena. It's a really nice arena. I was there for WrestleMania and got to go to Raw that night after WrestleMania, so I've been there and to the Superdome. That's what it is, Superdome. And both arenas are pretty amazing. All right, let's get right to the top of the show. Michael Cole welcomes Renee Young to the commentating team full time. You, Renee. It's history. Really is first woman on the commentating staff full time. I think Renee Young fits pretty well with Cole and my boy Corey Graves. So shout out to her. Goes right to Dolph, Drew, and Braun, all of the heels that helped him last week. Just a bit from later on in the show. They call themselves the. What do they call themselves? Hold on, I have it in my notes. There we go. They called them the Dogs of War. I guess that's going to be the name of their faction or stable. Okay, you guys work on that. Dogs of War. Pretty much they had the Ascension, Kevin Owens, Jadi. If you don't know who that is, you don't watch the show enough for the joke. But yeah, they had all those guys around the ring. These guys all helped them beat up the Shield at the end of the show last night, causing Seth to have that really bad cut on his arm. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as we thought, and he's not out. He's actually still in. We saw him getting in the ring tonight and hitting a couple of people. So hopefully there's no injuries, there's no nothing, and they're good. They were worried that it was going to be like Goldberg's injury, and he could be out for 5 months. So thankfully, that is not the case. Of course, they're talking about how they beat them up and how the ties have changed and the numbers game is now on their side. And Ziggler was telling everybody, oh, you guys stood up against the Shield. You stood up for yourself, most importantly, blah, blah, blah. The Shield comes out in classic Shield fashion from one way up top. They come down. They start going crazy. But, of course, there's too many of them. So what do? Dean has a bag with axe handles. And they beat everybody up with those. And, of course, the Dogs of War. I'm going to have to look at that a couple of times just to remember it. They ran. It's the first time I've ever seen Braun run from anything. But he ran. I guess he has to because he's trying to really portray the heel situation. So they didn't get any of the hits. We then see Baron. Well, what we see at first is the Shield fighting with the fake police officers. Listen, you look at those police officers' faces because you never know who's going to end up being on the show later on. Fun fact, the glorious one, Bobby Roode, before he was on the show or before he was in any other company, he was in WWE and he played a security guard on an episode of Monday Night Raw. So you never know who's going to be the next guy. If you were on our social media page today, you saw we did before they were. And Bobby Roode was one of those guys. Okay. Well, then Baron comes to break up the Shield from the cops and says, listen, I could get the cops to get off your back, but you're going to have to leave. And if you don't leave, Roman, Seth, got to give up your titles, and you guys are going to go to jail. He goes, the Shield, you guys got to leave. All right? So Seth talks the other two into it. They leave. And then we get Nikki Bella and her sister, and they go into their dressing room, and of course the Riot Squad messes it up because that's who they're beefing with right now. can I just say that I hate the Bellas, and I hate that they're back in wrestling, and I wish that something was wrong with them and they couldn't wrestle anymore, because they're divas and we have a women's division at this point. So I don't like it. Then we see a match between Nikki Bella and Ruby Riott. Of course, Nikki wins. Did you think it was going to be any different? I did. They're the Golden Girls of WWE, whether they're active, been out for a long time, they don't care. They're just going to put them in and let them win. Put them in and let them win. I like that. Then we go to Drake Magic and the AOP, and they're in the back, and he's hyping up the AOP to bring them out before their fight. I have a problem. Why is Drake with AOP, and why in the blue cheese is he dressing like them? It all just looks really bad. I'd rather him in a suit or something, because I don't know. It just looks horrible. Anyway, of course, they come out and they fight these two guys, Nathan Bradley and Ronnie Ace. Nobodies, like me and you. And of course, they destroy them within like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I heard Ryback was being pretty harsh on the way they were treating. Said the way they treated their competitors last week were actually pretty brutal. Well, you're not here. And Ryback has just become a little testy about everything these days. So if you follow him on Facebook or Instagram or anything, you know, especially Twitter. And then in classic Vincent Kennedy McMahon style, you know, the elevator rolls up and nobody knows who's in it, and then all of a sudden the door opens and it's just like, and they go, "Oh my God, it's the boss!" Well, tonight the new boss came out and did that, Triple H, and he cut a promo about the whole thing with The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels last night. It wasn't one of H's better promos. Actually, the one he did before this was actually way better. But basically, this promo was basically saying, you know, it was a respect thing, and now after you did all of that with Shawn last week, and basically like, you know, nobody's opinion should matter. You should be the dead man, like, you know. But since it matters so much and you had to do all of that to Shawn, now it's personal. So I guess, you know, they're just trying to build heat for it. Like I said, the man with 3 H's, his promo wasn't that great tonight. So, you know, it was what it was. Earlier, from the very beginning, they tell us during the whole Dogs of War situation that they were going to have to fight the B team. And of course, they fought the B team, and they lost. I hate tag teams without names. You know, Joe Schmo and Stephen Lou facing the Hardy Boys or the NWO, whatever, whoever it is. I hate that. Get a name and stick with it. With the Dogs of War is his name for this faction. What's the name for Drew McIntyre and Dolph? Because I get tired of just hearing their names. Well, of course they lose. B team. They put up a good fight. They're good wrestlers, the B team. They've just been jobbers for a really long time. At the end of the match, they're out there celebrating, as they always do. And Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins come into the ring and beat Dolph and Drew up. Then they make this whole thing about, well, why are they here? They were told that if they came back, if the Shield came back, that they would go to jail. Keywords, if the Shield came back, they would go to jail. Of course, then we are looking at Mick Foley and Undertaker's original Hell in a Cell match. To me, I think by far it's the greatest Hell in a Cell match. I was asking earlier for a top 5, and a couple of my people said it's really just that match. I don't know if I want to go that far. Maybe we'll do a video just on top 5 Hell in a Cells. That might be pretty interesting. But I was 13 when this original Hell in a Cell went on, and it's probably still one of the craziest matches I've ever seen. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. Then of course they skip around because they're never consistent and they just pushing things around. KO comes out and he fights Tyler Breeze, who's become a complete jobber. And then after he beats him up, well, first of all, they didn't even have a match. He just like attacked him and then they started fighting. It all ends with KO doing the pop-up powerbomb, for the yawn. The pop-up powerbomb on the hardest part of the ring. And then KO cuts a promo about, guess who? Bobby Lashley, who he attacked last week after he had already said that he had quit. He cuts his promo about Bobby and how it's Bobby's fault that he came back. It's also Bobby's fault that his best friend Sami Zayn is out on the shelf. But he gives you this sense that he's coming back to be more serious, a more brutal character. Let's see how this plays out. At this point, it's so-so, but he comes back with this more serious mode, and he goes, this is still the KO show, the Kevin Owens show, and you can expect these 3 words to be going with me in everything that I do from now on. And it was anarchy, agony, and destruction. He's looking to be more of a devilish, rough and tough heel. So let's see how that works out for him. What I noticed tonight, and I don't remember ever seeing it before so blatantly, was Raw pushing SmackDown. Like all their matches, the Jeff Hardy match, the AJ Styles match. It's more than I've ever seen. And I would be, I want to see tomorrow on SmackDown if SmackDown does the same for Raw. And if it doesn't do the same for Raw, do they think SmackDown needs the help that they're not doing too well? We were told that Detroit last week for Monday Night Raw, for SmackDown, was not packed at all. That they taped off a whole side. That never happened to New York. We're lit. Someone said Detroit was a full wrestling city. I guess it's a Tuesday night. I'll give Detroit a break. Sorry, Detroit, I love you guys. Great city. Yeah, they promoted the AJ versus Joe match, the Jeff versus Randy match. They went back and forth with it a lot. How did Chad Gable get on Raw? I know it happened last week, but just how did he just jump shows? No trades, no nothing, just whatever. That's the thing with WWE sometimes, that they feel like we're retarded and that we don't follow storylines. But we do, Jim. We do. But they don't care because they've now made Bobby Roode, who should be a top guy, a tag team with Chad freaking Gable. And they won. They fought the Ascension. Gable is infatuated with Bobby, and he's wants to be a little Bobby. We'll see where this goes. They won it for the second time in a row, though. So, yeah. What do we have? Oh, I'm bugging. Then we see Baron talking with the Shield guys. That was a little earlier. Yeah, it was right during the Kevin Owens thing. Seth and Dean were confronted by Baron Corbin about coming back. And he said, I thought I told you guys not to come back. And they said, no, you told the Shield not to come back, not Dean and Seth. And I knew they were going to go that route anyway. So it just worked out. But then he was saying, well, listen, I'm going to have you guys arrested. And then they brought up this whole thing about, listen, well, you falsified records. I have this cop here. He's going to arrest you right now. So then they had a little conversation off screen. Seth and Corbin had this little conversation. Then it comes back to where we are now, where Baron Corbin announces in front of Dolph and Drew that they will be fighting Seth and Dean at Hell in a Cell for the Tag Team Raw Championship belts. Then we go to Natty. I don't call her Natalia. I call her Natty. And I didn't watch the Diva show that they were doing on whatever channel that was. I never watched it. So, but Natty versus Rousey and Bliss versus Mickie James with the token black girl behind them. I'm sorry, but that's what she is. I don't even say her name at this moment. It was a so-so match until Rousey got in. She's still not sticking as far as the wrestling moves are going. I don't like what she wears. I just don't like the gimmick. It's pissing me off. But of course, they won. But she hurt her ribs in the action of it. They're holding the belt up. And then Bliss kicks her in the ribs. I guess they're trying to build so then they have an interview. And they cut a little small promo about, will she be ready for her match at Hell in a Cell? And she's like, I might be hurt a little bit, but that's never stopped me from fighting. I'm the best, and I'm the best, hurt or not hurt. And then they walked away. Maybe that could bring something between her and Natty later on. I'd rather see the two of those fight, just because they know each other and they've been working with each other. It might help her. My man Elias, who I really like, starts his whole gimmick, and the OG, the triple OG, the legend comes out. Mr. Mick Foley, Long Island stand-up, comes out to do his appearance and cuts a great promo. I mean, Mick really cut a great promo regarding the Hell in a Cell match, and said he went and talked to Stephanie at the house or up in Connecticut at the main office about taking part in it, and he announced that he will be the guest referee for Braun and Roman's Hell in a Cell match. That's a great way to celebrate the 20 years. This should be pretty dope. Nick also said that Stephanie gave him the authority to make a match for old time's sake, so he made a match between Balor versus Elias. Elias is becoming a jobber. Not Elias, I'm sorry. Balor is becoming a jobber. He's not getting as much as he once got before, and it's not clear why. Well, it is clear why. They just haven't set a straight path for this guy, and really don't know where he's going at this moment. So yeah. I really enjoyed Mick being on TV tonight. He was actually one of the brighter spots of a so-so dull show. Like I said, I thought Triple H was going to be a little more amazing than what he was. It was so-so. All right. Then Lashley cuts a promo with new WWE signee Leo Rush. Maybe they're connecting the two black guys to make a little situation here, and maybe he might end up managing for Lashley. It might help him. He might need a talk guy, somebody to do his nice work for him. He's not the greatest at it, so it might help him. Of course, Braun is big dog hunting, and he calls Roman out. Roman comes out, they fight. Big man, blah, 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 blah. Nobody really likes this whole situation. I hate Roman Reigns, blah, 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 blah. They beat each other up, and of course, Roman then gets Braun up and gives him a big Samoan drop down into like a chair, like a table type area. It was okay. It's not that bad. Altogether, if I had to rate this show by the beat rating, I would probably give it a 2.5/3 because I'm a Raw guy. I'm gonna go with a 3. That's 3 out of 5, so you can take it how you want it. It wasn't the greatest show. Last week's show was really good, and they stepped up. But sometimes they step up and then they don't know how to follow up on that. So yeah, it was an okay show. Let's see what SmackDown has to offer tomorrow. And of course, NXT Mixed Match Challenge is coming back. Some people are pretty hyped for that. And of course, NXT is always good. And the Mae Young Classic is going on. So we have a lot of content to watch. And I will be here to do these shows regarding, doing these podcasts regarding each show. All right. So this has been, Bearded Wrestling for Monday Night Raw, September 10th, live from New Orleans, baby. Yeah. Listen, as always, you can reach out to us on our Instagram and Facebook at bearded_wrestling, or on YouTube, which this will be on, Bearded Wrestling. And we're going to get back to SoundCloud as well, which is Bearded Wrestling at SoundCloud. Or you can hit us up on our Gmail at beardedwrestling1@gmail.com. All right, guys, thanks. Come back. We're going to do SmackDown. We're going to do NXT. We're going to do the Mae Young Classic. If there's wrestling, we're going to do it. We're going to do, maybe I think I'm going to do one just on the ROH on their next show. That's coming out in December. I think I'm going to that. And I think I might do one on All In. Well, this is it for the night, man. I'll see you guys later. Be good. Peace.